Talia. And so just a little about her. Talia is a comedian. As you can see, she's not something that you expect a comedian to be. So Talia, tell us about some of your comedy.
Well, I don't, okay. I didn't expect that to be the first question.
Okay, so Talia is a comedian. As you know, she's a stand-up comedian, but her comedy is a little something out of the norm for a female comedian. Hi, I'm Barbara Sam, your host for Filmmakers Focus. I'm here with the beautiful Talia, stand-up comedian. So just so you guys don't know, she is a comedian. Look at her. She's beautiful, she's smart, she's intelligent, and also she's a stand-up comedian. So, let's find more about Talia. So Talia, tell us about like your style of comedy, like where you get your inspiration from, and just like how did you get into becoming a comedian?
Oh, well, I got into comedy because I really enjoy writing, and my style is more about current events, pop culture, and basically anything that I see around. Also, my style basically is that I take everything major, everything concrete, very blue and like black comedy material.
Okay.
And do it with such poise where you don't even know that I'm talking about a major issue.
So what's going on with society, what's going on with culture, you take that and like kind of put a twist on it to kind of like find the humor in it?
To find the humor, to find the beauty in it, not to be so crushed by something major or tragic, or to be quiet about something tragic, or to be scared of an issue. I take it and make it okay to talk about it, because how can you not laugh at something that you just make so loud and ridiculous?
And that's something that's a little out of the norm. A lot of female comedians, they talk about relationship issues or like women issues. So I think this is something that's really great to really set you apart. But in a male-dominated industry, like what makes Talia stand out?
Well, the fun thing about it is that in a male-dominated industry, when I first came in, I wasn't trying to stand out because I wanted to do what the male comics were doing. I wanted to be like, hey, I could do what you're doing too. I could talk about male appendages. I could talk about my appendages the way you talk about it, and there's no different. I could do what you're doing, and why can't I, even though I'm a female? So it was just basically to be on the same par and then one-up them, just because I do set myself apart just because I happen to be a female gender.
But you have beauty and brains with a psychology degree. Like what transition or what made you jump from psychology to stand-up?
Well, I always had it in me, but when I was doing psychology, I like to see it gave me more of, I guess, a look into a person's mind, a person's behavior mostly. Okay. I loved looking into why people act the way they do and see the subtle reactions that they have. I love people watching. So it's just when people can't find something, for example, like a ticket for the LIRR, okay, they go frantic. They see the guy, they look back in their purse, they see the guy, just watch and look and learn and just find all of that fascinating. So I take some of that and just use it.
And that's how you build your material and some of your
Yes, that's how I build some of my gestures when I do my material, is like how people react when something happens. I use facial expressions. I'm not the most physical comedian, but I do use a lot of facial expressions to be like, yeah, this is the face you're making right now as an audience. I'm going to mirror that back to you.
And so Talia, like being a Indian American, like how did your parents feel? Like what was their reaction when you told them you wanted to be like a stand-up comedian?
Well, it took me a while to tell them. It was a long time, but they are actually funny in and of themselves. They like to actually be the center of the family. I'm actually the quiet one,
okay,
of my family. But when I told my dad finally, when I was about 20, he basically asked me if I had a tape. So I didn't.
A tape of your performance?
Yes.
Or, okay.
It's like, do you have a tape? And I was like, what? I have to audition for you too? So, yeah, their reaction was not too tragic. Like, they didn't overreact, but they are still dealing with the fact that this is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
But they underreacted in a sense.
They underreacted because they're like, what are you doing? What is this? We don't understand it. And like, why are you doing this? We don't see people like you doing this. There's no reason for you to do this.
Do they kind of compare you to like the late night talk shows that's going on? Or
Well, they did look at my tape, and the only people that they do know are Jay Leno and the late night comedians who wear suits and ties. And they're like, well, they watched my tape. They didn't really talk about it. And then I asked them about it. They talked about the comedian that went on after me.
Okay.
They said, oh, he was blind and had a dog on stage, and he talked about them for a while. And then I was like, how did I do? And he said, oh, well, you were okay, but you need a guy. You need a guy. And I said, why? What do you mean a guy? Why do I need a guy? It's like, you know, the guy that plays like drums or plays like a guitar.
How can you compete with like a blind guy with a dog? Like,
apparently I can't in my parents' eyes, but he basically was just like, you need a Kevin Eubanks so people know when something's funny.
So he wants you to have like a whole act performance band and that whole
Yeah, he wants me to have a whole entourage with me, apparently. I want them to get to a point where they're like, oh, you doing it by yourself? Awesome.
Have any of your parents or your family come and seen some of your comedy and your stand-up?
They have seen one. They've seen me do a small charity event for autism.
Okay.
Yes. They were there. They talked about it a little bit. I did a variety of acts. I was the hostess. I did some of my stand-up. I introduced a band, and then I stole one of the band's guitars and started performing my own song. But it was the bit was that I just basically didn't know how to play a guitar, and I just held it and was just singing a song repetitively.
And you just incorporated that in part of your act.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, that sounds really cool. You know, with autism, tell us how you're affiliated with the organization, or some of the things that you've done, or some of the things that you want to do, or aspirations to bring awareness to autism.
Well, as you know, I have a psychology degree, so when I went into psychology, I was looking for a job, and I found one with working with children with autism, and it really touched my heart, because as a performer, you're a comedian, you work alone, you're back there alone, you're trying your best to satisfy so many people. And when you're working with children with autism, it's you and the child one-on-one, and you really see how you affect someone in that close of a range. So it was very dear to me, and it was very special.
That's really great that you found something that's close to you to get behind and support.
Exactly.
That's really wonderful. So Talia, I'm just so surprised, as well as all of you are too, how beautiful she is, how smart she is, and how funny she is. So where can we go and see some of your stand-up or some of your performance or act?
Well, I perform everywhere. I perform around the city for now. I've performed at Gotham. I performed at New York Comedy Club, the Laugh Lounge. I'm going to set up more shows, and I get a lot of comedians, incorporate a lot of comedians in my act, so I love finding new talent also.
Okay.
And, if I'm not doing a show, you can always find my stuff online. I do articles. I have a Facebook page. It's Talia, Datalia. Go on Facebook, like that. And then I have a Twitter page, and it's Talia da Comic, Talia Comic. And, so there's not... The world is not sparse of the Talia out there, so you can find anything. You can Facebook me, talk to me. I am willing to interact with my fans, and I can't wait to get more.
So Talia, beyond stand-up, do you see yourself doing television, film, or writing, since you are a writer? What are some of the things or aspirations that you have, beyond the stand-up?
Well,
including stand-up.
Oh, well, I love writing, and that is my main goal, is comedy writing. So if I could do television or sketch comedy writing for television, I would love and love to do that.
Kind of like an SNL type of thing?
Well, yes, let's hope. I'm like gunning for head writer there.
Okay.
But if, there's a television show that needs talent like me, I wouldn't mind being an on-air personality or being just an on-air, on-camera, but, always aim bigger, but I never think that there's a small role like the funny sidekick or the funny sub-characters are always, they make the show better sometimes. So
they do, like those supporting roles.
Yes, supporting roles are just as big and just as important because, there's a lot carried on big roles, so you always need comic relief, and I feel like in life I'm comic relief, so why not be that on screen?
On and off screen.
On and off screen.
For that up-and-coming comedian or someone that's like, oh, you're funny, you should be a comedian, like what advice do you have for them or to pursue like their maybe career or passion?
Well, I will say that never stop believing in what you're doing, only because there are going to be tons of people out there that don't think that you're going to do it and don't think that you basically have the balls to go up on stage. And once you do, they will admire you so much, because when I first got up there and when I first talked about going up and doing stand-up, I asked people after a year of doing it, they said, I did not believe we were ever going to go up there and this was something that you were just going to talk about. So don't ever let anyone mere impressions or things that they think you might do deter what you want to do. Right. So just do it, and the first step is just getting out there and just going out there. It took me about a year to be confident enough to get up on stage, but I wish I did it earlier. That's always a thing that I wish I did. I wish I got out there so much earlier than I did, but getting out there at 19 wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's a really young age, and it's better, like the saying says, better late than never.
Exactly.
So tell us again, where can we find some of your work and find more about Talia?
Well, Facebook first, and it's Facebook, the Talia page, so Talia. So go on Facebook like that, and Twitter. We have Talia the Comic, so it's Talia, my name, Da Comic, at Twitter. So find me there. I have a slowly growing number of Twitter fans, so you'll find like my more risque material on there. And also you can email me if you're interested in booking me, or if you're interested in knowing more about me, at taliacomedy@gmail.com. So taliacomedy@gmail.com.
And this is Barbara Sam with the lovely comedian Talia, and you've watched the Film Focus. And this is your host, Barbara Sam, with